Hi friends, this is a short video which is intended as a discussion of William Blake's poem A Poison Tree. A Poison Tree is a short poem of 16 lines, and this poem is divided into four stanzas. Four stanzas of 4 lines, total 16 lines. This is not only a short poem, this is also a very simple poem. This poem is narrative in the sense that the poem tells us a story, the story of a person and his enemy. At the end, the enemy dies. This is a simple poem, so anybody can read and understand the poem from from uh, from lower standard to the university level students. For all types of students, the poem easily conveys. At the same time, the poem presents an incident. The incident is much more complex. On the peripheral level, we may see that it is very easy, but it is very difficult to arrive at a conclusion whether the poem has got a happy ending or a sad ending. The enemy dies, so we can say that it is a happy ending. But when we go through the poem, we see that it is something that is not so pleasant that happened in the incident that the poem presents. So let us turn to the poem and read the poem stanza by stanza and then analyze what are the kind of conflicts that the poem tries to generate. The first stanza I will read 4 lines and then I will try to explain its meaning. All the words, all the lines in the poem is on the peripheral level very simple. So it is like this. This is how it begins. For first person presentation, I was angry with my friend. That is the first line. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath, and my wrath did act. I was angry with my foe. I told it not, my wrath did grow. That is the first 4 lines. The poet says he was angry with his friend. I told my wrath, and my wrath did act. So he is talking in the beginning 2 lines about an anger, a particular kind of anger, an anger that one feels towards one's friend, and it easily disappears. The moment the speaker tells his anger to the friend, it disappears. So he says, I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath. I told my wrath more or less is often connected with the divine kind of anger. Divinity also comes, divinity or else this idea of transcendental aspect of human emotion is also part of Blake's preoccupation of dealing things in poetry. So here I told my wrath on peripheral level. Let us take these lines in the simplest of the way it is presented. I told my wrath, and my wrath did end. So there it disappears. And then the next 2 lines he says, I was angry with my foe. I told it not, my wrath did grow. So obviously, the poet is not going to talk to us about the kind of anger that he feels towards his friend. The poet here is trying to deal with that kind of anger which one feels in one's mind against one's enemy. So, in the beginning stanza, the poet is really making a distinction between 2 kinds of anger, an anger that one feels towards one's friend, another anger one feels towards one's enemy. What happens when one feels anger towards one's enemy? He says, I was angry with my foe, I was angry with my enemy, but I told it not. He could not tell it. Why he could not tell it? Most of the circumstantial details are left out, and the poem is a focused presentation of uh, of the elementary feeling of anger and hatred, using the necessary, only the utmost necessary details. So I told it not, my wrath did grow. So his anger started to pile up. Anger started to increase in him. So once again, if you read these four lines, we can have another kind of distinction possible. A kind of distinction between anger, not only anger, a kind of distinction that one can draw in between friendship and enmity. So once you feel anger towards someone, and if you can express that anger, it means that you are in in a relationship of friendship with that person. And if you are not capable of expressing your anger, it means that you are slowly becoming that person's enemy, or the real kind of relationship that goes on in between two person is one of enmity more than that of friendship. So these two lines can also be, if it is possible, can be interpreted as a definition of friendship and enmity. So it's about the the kind of anger that exists between two enemies that the poet is talking about. So then let us go to the next stanza. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears, and I sunned it with smiles and with the soft, deceitful wiles. So, and I watered it in fears. So slowly it grows. Consciously, the uh, speakers nurtures it. Consciously, the speaker grows the kind of anger in him. Here, in this stanza, the human abstract emotion of anger is slowly taking a physical shape of the image of a seed, the image of a small plant or a tree slowly comes to play. Anger in his mind started to grow. So it started to have a biological existence, existence of its own. It is not spent. It is not spent immediately. It is being reserved. It is being preserved, and then it is being planted and it grows. I watered it in fears. So it is fear, one kind of uh, emotion that can come into between two person can be fear. So this fear, in fact, fear coupled with anger, fear can be healthy or can be unhealthy, or whatever case be. Here it takes the shape of a water, and it grows that it helps to it helps the speaker to nurture the seed, which is anger. Even though the speaker is not speaking here directly that the anger is some kind of seed, but the lines that tells us, suggests us that this functions itself as a seed. So I watered it in fears. So it means the relationship of the two person is based upon fear. Next, night and morning with my tears. So he cries also, tears also comes up in his eyes. So it is not only sadness most often that generates tears. Most often the suppressed hatred, suppressed anger also comes out in the form of tears. So tears can not should not directly be associated with uh, with the with the sadness. Type here, tears can also come in one's eyes, because of this fear, this helplessness that one feels. So night and morning with the tears and water, watering it with, uh, watering the anger with the, watering the anger with the tear is a very, uh, very suitable uh, association, water and tear. So here the poet also slowly mixes it with the idea of fear as well. So the first line is fear, and the next line is tear. Both are in night, during night and morning, means all through the day. The whole of his existence is now based upon this relationship. So this idea of hatred, this anger, and I sunned it with my smiles. Does not mean that the poet is not living the daily life. He smiles, but this smile is very different from the kind of smile he previously has towards others. Because this smile he uses in order to give, not only water is to be given to the seeds to grow, it should also get sufficient sunlight, so that it can have a healthy growth. So one cannot always spend by crying, by showing fear. One also has to overcome that. There is this psychological process of overcoming this fear and tear and helplessness through other means. So it's smile. All the things that he, after he feels hatred towards his friend, all the things that he feels takes a very different kind of kind of different kind of expression, different kind of different nature, altogether different. Means smile can be of two types, anger can be of two types, fear can be of two types. Mm, all the things exist in their their multiplicity, even in human emotion. So, and I sunned it with the smiles and with the soft deceitful wiles. So he himself acknowledges that it is a deceitful life that he is living. He is concealing something. So all his outward appearances becomes only a concealment of something that is going on in his mind, with the soft and deceitful wiles, through devious um, behavior. So very deceitful behavior. He uh, conceals his anger. So in the next stanza, means third stanza, it is like this. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright. And my friend beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. Once again, um, his uh, his opponent comes, and it grew both day and night. As a consequence of taking care of the seed, it is started to grow up. Day and night, it very easily grows up in him. And till it bore an apple bright. At the end, it bears an apple. The plant becomes, and so the seed becomes an apple tree, and it uh, gives uh, gives birth to an apple, till it bore an apple, bright apple it is. And my friend beheld it shine. And his friend, now once again, the poet very strangely uses the word my friend. So previously in the first stanza, he was his enemy. Now he says, my friend. Might be that he is once again having a kind of he is living with his enemy, that here becomes a friend. Maybe ironically that he says my friend beheld it shine. So he could see that the poet's anger has given birth to this apple, and that this apple is attractive to this enemy of him, which who is now called to be a friend. So very carefully the poem makes use of changes in using words. So my friend beheld it shine. He saw that it is a very shining apple, and he knew that it was mine. So he understands. The friend understands that this apple is the owner of this apple uh, is a friend, is the speaker. So here in the third stanza, the whole thing takes a very different evolution altogether. A different evolution happens with the third stanza of the poem. So what is this apple stand? What does this apple stand for? Because the symbolic aspect of the poem started to have its dominance over what really happened. The first stanza it's a real conflict, and the second stanza it slowly becomes symbolic that he started to grow the seed and all. And the third stanza it completely becomes symbolic, and there should be a resolution at the end, the final stanza, where this real conflict which has been transformed into the form of a symbolic conflict is being resolved, or the poet tries to resolve this conflict and provide an ending to the poem. Whether that ending suitably functions as a consoling or a drastic, uh, whether that ending is a suitable one, it is up to the readers to decide. So the last stanza is like this: and into my garden stole when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree. So now once again the the enemy who is now called to be the friend of the speaker is the character of the last stanza, in the beginning of the last stanza. Into my garden stole means the enemy um, slowly comes to the garden. Which is the garden? So the garden here means the poet. Poet grows this seed in him that makes him a garden. So into my garden he stole. mm, Stealthily he comes, and the night had veiled the pole. During it is dark. It is in darkness that he comes. And in the morning glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree. So that is how the poem ends. In the morning, the poet is happy. The speaker is happy. The speaker of the poem is happy to see that his enemy is now dead. His foe, once again, he becomes foe. My foe outstretched beneath the tree, he is now dead because he might have eaten the apple. Nowhere it says in the poem that the apple is a poisonous fruit. Only the title gives us the suggestion that it is about a poison tree. The poem is so naturally it is not even about the poison fruit. It is about a poison tree. Now, what is this poison tree is very much difficult to interpret. Whether it is the speaker himself who turns to be a poison tree at the end in murdering is the other one who first becomes an enemy, then becomes a friend once again, at the end becomes an enemy. So, but the moral world of the poem is in such a sense a very uh, complex world, where the only thing that one can understand it is about the destructive ability of human anger, hatred, uh, that inhuman aspect or destructive aspect of human anger. There is in the beginning a true light which tells us of another kind of anger which can easily disappear. There is another aspect to this anger that can actually destroy. More than once, the poem also makes use of the word wrath. And we also have to consider the fact that Blake, who was a was most often considered as a mystic poet. He deals with the human. He deals with so many of the human as well as transcendental uh, ideas in his poem. And in 1789, he published a collection of poems called Songs of Innocence, in which he speaks about all the beautiful aspects of life. This poem comes in his collection called Songs of Experience, which is published in 1794. Here, it is not songs of experience that he deals with. It is about songs of it is not songs of innocence that he deals with. Um, in 1794, he deals with the songs of experience. Experience is something that is completely different. The experiential world of experiential aspect of human as well as natural world provides you not only with the innocent aspect, it also provides you, or it also makes you deal with these the world with much more vehemence, and um, you should also learn how to become angry, how to become uh, how to hate. All these things are part of human life. This one has to, or is the thing that he deals with in songs of experience. Previously he dealt with childhood, about innocence. Previously means in his collection called Songs of Innocence, he deals with there we have the poems like Lamb. um, Here we also have the collection, in this collection we also have poems like The Tiger, in which if the lamb was the central character of Songs of Innocence, in Songs of Experience he deals with uh, the tiger, where a tiger is the representative of the divine. A lamb can also, if lamb provides you a symbolic representation of the divine in Songs of Innocence, here it is the tiger. So the creative and the destructive aspect of uh, divinity moves together. So all these ideas comes, and this poem, even though it is simple in in the first reading, it provides you further direction to think about the complex aspects of human life, human emotions, human relations. Thank you.